Hey there and welcome. My name is Carlos Bertz and in this video we are going to talk about puzzles and riddles. But bear in mind that we are not talking about traps because this is the subject for the next video. Traps are a different subject because we can relate them to puzzles, but they do not need to be strictly related. We can use traps without using puzzles. The first thing that we need to think about when using either puzzles or riddles is why are we using them? Because we need to keep that suspension of disbelief relatable to each one of the players. So why use puzzles and riddles? Because we want to a group of people to be able, of creatures actually, to be able to access that object or that area. If we want only one person, one creature to access that, we will use a key. It's much better. So if we are using a puzzle or riddle, it's a group of people. And then we need to be aware that we need to leave some clues. Because if it's not just one person, it's not like a secret word or something like that. It's something that a group of people can figure out and can use to access that. So leave the clues to your players. Mainly when you are using puzzles, riddles as well, but mainly puzzles, is that you need to be aware that some clues and so, like some breadcrumbs, you need to keep on the way so that when they arrive there, they can try to figure that out. Place that they adventure that they use that very well is Breaker of Chains from Loot the Room, written by, I guess, Chris Bissett, where they leave some breadcrumbs so that the players can figure that out, and when they arrive at the place that they need to use that information that got the information before. It's different than leaving the answer. Like, you don't want to leave the answer, you want to leave some breadcrumbs, some ideas, some clues that then they can figure out. Another thing, particularly with puzzles, that mainly when you are using puzzles, handouts are very important and very useful for the players, because when you are using puzzles, you have some pieces that you need to assemble, some ideas or some structure that you need to build. So handouts can be very useful, and it can help you so that you can just make that ready before the game and then just hand out that when the players are there. But like I mentioned, you have some ideas that you may want to play with that. In this respective subject is that if you are using riddles, it works as well with puzzles, but riddles happens mostly is that you had already one answer in your head, but the players came out with another answer completely different from the one that you thought before. If that makes sense, go with that. Just go with that. Don't force the players to come out with this exact idea that you had, because that will mostly just frustrate your players. Like, you may want to prove to your players or show that you are an amazing DM, you are smart, you are intelligent and all that, but this is not the place. This is the place to make everyone be happy and everyone have fun. So if they come out with and come up with an idea that's logical, roll with that. Just pretend that that was the idea all the way, and no one will ever know besides you. And everyone will probably talk about that later on, like how an amazing session that was. So continuing with that idea is that if no one is coming with any idea that can be useful, just let them roll intelligence check or whatever. so that you give some clues. Think beforehand of some clues that you can give them, because you are not trying to challenge just the players, you are challenging actually the characters. So you came out with some amazing pun, amazing riddle, amazing puzzle, and no one is coming with any idea. So they decide to roll, and that is perfectly normal, perfectly acceptable. So roll with that, as I mentioned, and if they want some idea, let them roll, and if they roll well, give some information trying to move them towards this goal. If we talk about puzzles, usually we have two very distinct kinds or types of puzzles. One of them is natural puzzles, another of them is artificial puzzles. As I mentioned, in Breaker of Chains, you have artificial puzzles. You have an older video from mine that mentioned this adventure, and in artificial puzzles, they are usually built by someone so that they can avoid someone to get someplace, get some object, or release something. And in this way, they usually have one answer. They usually have one way to sort that out. You can play with that, like if you have a gap or a crevice or something, and you don't have a way to pass through it, and you will, for instance, say they need to display some trust in God, in their God or something like that, and then if they jump, they will find a platform that they can cross over. If they just step, they will fall. This is a way. You have one answer for that. Another one is artificial. Is that you will show them that you have the same crevice and you have one piece of the bridge that is felled from one, that has fell from one side, and then one piece that has fell from another side, and you do not have an answer. There is no answer because no one thought about this will going to be a challenge. So they have to come up with very innovative, very inventive ways to cross that. And that is not a problem. They are different kinds of approaches. If you are using puzzles, one thing that is important, in my opinion, is that if you are using particularly artificial puzzles, is that you show the consequences of not solving that puzzles before they try to solve the puzzle in the first place. So if there is going to be something that crushes them or something, you let them know that there is someone or something that was crushed before in that same spot. It's important because then the players will have the notion of consequence of their actions. In the artificial ones, it's not like that because, as I mentioned, no one thought that they would need to solve that, sort that out. Going back to the idea of riddles. If we think about riddles, one thing that is very important, I think, is that to make riddles that are logical. Usually, if you are thinking in a logical riddle, they are short because they are easier to come up with. And I usually think of one objective or tangible thing and at least two abstract ones. Like, for instance, if you are thinking about, usually you will think about the solution before. Like, if you are thinking about clouds, you will think like, I am white, and when there is thunder, I cry, and when the suns come up afterwards, I am already gone. You can think of something like that. If they can come up, as I mentioned, with another solution that is not clouds, but that makes sense, just roll with that, go with that, let them sort out, and go on. some examples of some good puzzles you can find in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, the first one, and also shitty ones like the puzzle from Snape that they needed to figure out which potion to drink, because that was actually a key. It was just for one person, not for a group of people to figure out. So this is my idea. If you are coming up with puzzles and riddles, it's for a group of people. You will try to figure out some way that all this group can come up with some idea, and you make it meaningful also, because you do not want the players to just waste some of their resources, like even if it's not health points, but spells and everything. And then you leave some clues, handouts if you have puzzles. If you have riddles, come up with an idea in both of them. If they have some logical conclusions, just roll with that. And if you have any doubts, any new ideas, if you applied some puzzle and it worked, if it didn't work, if you need some help, just drop a comment below. If you want to know more about the Breaker of Chains, which is an amazing adventure with some great puzzles, I will link the adventure in the description. And share, subscribe. You know how internet works. If you like the video, like the video. And I will see you all with a traps video in the next one. And see ya!